Hi, my name's Lucy and I'm here to tell you about my experience with Mark Newey. I'm going to start by saying about my own personal story. So I began feeling symptoms of anxiety, depression, worry and panic during my A-levels. So I was studying to get into university, and that was a really stressful time for me, and I began to notice that I was struggling with everyday activities and, going through my exams, and kind of thought that was normal, but it got to a stage where I ended up going to the doctors and going on medication, so an SSRI called citalopram. So it started in my A-levels, and I then went to university. So I managed to get into university, really amazing, and I went to study fine art. And in my first year, I still struggled. I was finding it really difficult to focus. I found social situations really difficult sometimes. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to perform as well as other people were. Yeah, it was really tough, but I got through first year and then got through second year. The summer of second year was especially tough. By the end of that summer, so around September, I had been through a lot of anxiety attacks, a lot of panic attacks, all I think centered around the pressure that I was putting on myself to do really well at university, and that was kind of snowballing into my everyday life. So all in all, I was not very happy. And I think one of the toughest things for me is that I look at myself as a really bubbly, energetic, positive person who loves life and everything that comes with it, and I was finding that I was not myself at all, and that was the most difficult part, because I felt like I wasn't being true to myself, and I couldn't let other people know how great I was without sounding too big-headed, but that's what I felt like. I felt like I couldn't be me, and that's horrible. It's really horrible. My boyfriend actually recommended me to Mark, as he had previously been with him before, and said he was great. So I went along to see Mark, and I was really immediately felt really safe. I mean, Mark is such a kind-hearted person, and he's extremely good at his job. And the moment I walked into his house, I felt like I could open up and allow myself to let go of anything, The thing I think hit me most about working with Mark is that up until I saw him in September of 2015, I wasn't sure why I was feeling these things. And one of the first things Mark did with me was help me break down how my brain works. And I'd never had that done before. So he spoke to me about the belief systems that we have, the kind of levels of consciousness that everyday signals and information run through, and that affects our attitudes, our behaviours, our self-belief, all these things that kind of muddle together. He really helped me sort of build some educational blocks of how my head works, and I think that really eliminated a lot of fear, because I think why I was panicking and why I was anxious was because I was scared of being scared. I was scared of panicking. And he talked to me about fight or flight as well. So, for example, how if a tiger would come and attack you, you would run, or you would flight. You would go into flight. But things like in our everyday lives, things like something like missing the train or having an exam, that makes us go into that flight mode, which is really over-exaggerated and causes these negative feelings. So yeah, I was learning a lot about how my brain worked, and from there we began to pick apart sort of what I was thinking and why those thoughts were making me feel negative. So I knew, but we discussed more that I'm a perfectionist. So I have always set myself extremely high standards, and if I would fall by the wayside or not meet them, I would beat myself up emotionally and feel like I hadn't achieved anything. And so that was a real belief system that was filtering through into everything I was thinking. So whether that was, say for example, I wanted to get up at 7:30 one morning and I got up at 9, that would really cause some negative thoughts for me. Little things like that. So yeah, I was learning about my perfectionism. I was learning about how I compare myself to others, and going through an art degree, that's really difficult because you're constantly looking at other people's work around you and you reflect that on yourself. Overall, it was a really profound experience. I managed to understand my brain in a completely different way. And so now, 3 years later, I look back on my experience with Mark as an absolutely essential foundation for what I've continued to learn. I forgot to mention this. In the September of 2015, when I was going through this treatment with Mark, I didn't want to go back to university. I thought I couldn't do it. I was absolutely convinced that I couldn't succeed at what I loved, which was art. And yeah, so here we are today. Like I said, Mark has given me this amazing foundation for everything I continue to learn. I came out of university with a first-class degree. I mean, when I was there in 2015, I did not ever think I could do that. And so Mark gave me that confidence to sort of also find other things that worked for me. So now I am, in the present day, I'm a really happy person. I feel like I am what I used to be before I felt really negative. Mark's program is, I'd say, a must if you're feeling like I was feeling back in 2015 and before that. It's a really, like I said, a really strong foundation into my knowledge of my mental health. And I feel that with the experiences I had with Mark, I'm now really well equipped to deal with any ups and downs that come my way.